Hi, this is Dr. Morris. This is an overview for Unit 3, the Advocacy Case Study. So, what is advocacy? Advocacy is usually speaking out for folks who can't speak for themselves often. It's influencing others to take appropriate actions for themselves or others on behalf of a group or issue. So, it would stem everywhere from organizing a walk to raise money for research for um, pancreatic cancer to creating videos to help people learn to manage their anxiety. So it can be very individual, the desire to help one specific person um, do something because we know, for instance, that anxiety is a really big issue in our culture. And this video is something that I could view in the privacy of my own home and perhaps work on my anxiety. Or I could join with other people and go out for a walk and publicize it on Facebook and raise money. And then that money could go into research for pancreatic cancer, and everybody else would be raising money for that thing too. And all the money would be sent to a research group to register. So there's just a lot of different kinds of advocacy, but it's trying to get others to take steps that improve the world in a particular way. What will your case study be about? Well, first, I want you to choose something that you care about. It doesn't have to be something that touches you personally, but I think that often the things that touch us personally are the things that we can speak the best on. There's a lot of misinformation out there about all sorts of issues. And often we become aware of that misinformation once a situation touches our lives. Um, and then, secondly, I want you to choose something that you can be a good advocate for. I'll let you decide how that fits. Sometimes things are too emotional for us to want to really be involved in advocacy for. Sometimes the thing is so upsetting that we just don't want to talk about it with people. Or it may be that it's so distant and removed from us that we don't know enough about it to actually do advocacy. So you need to choose something that you're well placed to advocate on. And then third, you need to choose something where you're willing to do some research. You can't just go off the um, top of your head and say, yeah, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I know this and I know that. You need to go to reliable resources to help make your case on things. So, part one of the project, you need to introduce us to the issue. So, if you care about anxiety among college students, for instance, that's a very specific sort of issue. Let us know what the problem is and why is it so important. You might want to say how many people are affected by this and what it looks like for college students, what kinds of college students are more likely to experience anxiety, all of that kind of thing. You need to draw this information from your research and you need to cite your sources. I don't much care what research method you use. I just want your sources to be cited. What is currently being done in terms of advocacy? Usually, issues that we're involved in, there's something being done. Um, but often, what's being done is turned towards a different audience or isn't getting the attention that it needs. And we're establishing a need for what needs to be done. So, what audiences are being addressed? I will share along the way some examples of advocacy, and one is about melanoma. And melanoma is a cancer, and I think that most of you probably are not all that well informed about it. But in terms of cancers that kill young people, melanoma, I think, is number one. I'd have to go back and check my sources on that. And the fact that you don't know that is obviously something that could be a problem. And so that would be an example for why the video I'm going to share with you addresses young people particularly. Okay, part two. I want you to choose one piece of advocacy that you can share with me So it needs to be a YouTube video, a Facebook page, any number of things that you can find, a blog post. If you have a poster, you can take a photograph of it and show it to me, that kind of thing. I want you to analyze it rhetorically. So, most of you had a course last semester that talked about rhetorical analysis. If you were in my class, you definitely did. We will revisit rhetorical analysis in this unit, and you'll need to analyze on the basis of ethos, pathos, logos, and audience. You'll need to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the advocacy example that you found. You'll need to talk about missing information or perspectives. And you'll need to talk about what needs to be done or done more effectively with this example of advocacy. Presumably, it is going to be a place for you to start thinking about the kind of advocacy you're going to be doing in the next unit. Part 3 is really helping you think about the next unit. So I want you to think about your sphere of influence. That sounds really fancy, but sphere of influence simply means people in your life upon whom you can have an effect, a positive effect. So if I think of the spheres I'm involved in, I can think of my family, I can think of my neighborhood, I can think of the students in my classes, I can think of my colleagues, I can think of my university at large, I can think of groups that I belong to, whether they're professional or social. I can think of my friends on Facebook. Just that sphere of influence. Typically, the better someone knows me, the bigger impact I would have on people. So, this is why you'll see a lot of stars right now doing advocacy pieces for COVID 19. Michael Stipe, who is probably not of your group, but appeals to my generation from the rock group REM, just did a piece encouraging folks about COVID 19 and encouraging folks to stay home and that kind of thing. Well, he's a big star, so I don't have to know him personally in order for him to have a big impact on me. You wouldn't be able to send something out on Twitter for the world at large because the world at large doesn't know you. But you could send something out on Facebook to your friends, and that would be an example of a sphere of influence. So within your sphere of influence, I want you to think of who you can reach, you particularly. Who do you have access to? Is it a church group? Is it your classmates? Is it your work, where you work? And then I want you to think about what you can do. And just to follow up on something that I've said in another video, I want you to know that the topics for these for this advocacy project and for the case study does not have to be something on GSU's campus. However, it can be something on GSU's campus. You still have access to the webpage at GSU, and you can definitely make use of your interview if you want to use something from that. And some of you interviewed GSU folks. So you can change your topic that you were originally going for, or you can stay with the one that you had. Okay, go to the discussion board for questions or go to email and send me questions for whatever you have. Talk to you later.